Depp and yeah.
But she quotes John Milton, the mind is its own place and in itself can make a heaven or hell or a hell of heaven. I thought that was kind of true of your book as well.
Yeah.
My question though is, what do you think of Johnny Depp?
I was wondering what easy questions were going to start. No winners there, man. That's what I think. None of us, none of them, nobody. Yeah, I myself have hell. Whither I fly, am hell. I myself. Whither I fly is hell, I myself. It's all Milton's Satan. Yeah. Yeah, I studied that shit.
Period.
So in the entirety of the book, there is one conversation. Actually, it's two conversations, but with the same person. And the rest of the book, as I said, is a confabulation. But that conversation is hilarious. It's with a man in the park in what they call the Ramble. And that's a place for gay assignations, gay hookups. And it goes there. I happen to actually live above, when I was living in Vancouver, above a ramble of sorts. And so I've never been to the Ramble in Central Park. And I'm sorry, this is probably politically incorrect, don't answer. They call this Ramble in Vancouver. They call it the Fruit Loop. And I could watch from my apartment window all night long, people wandering in and out of the bushes, literally all night long. And so I have a fascination for exactly what you're writing about, which is this place where people go to have anonymous sex. You say that.
I hope there's a question.
Just wanted to tell that story. You say that all men have a ramble in them. Is that true? Yes. Yes, that's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Well, I think that's from like the Death in Venice inspiration. Because at one point I thought that he was going to have a relationship with a man for the first time in his life, and that was going to be the revelation to himself. That it doesn't quite play out. But to Ridley, and maybe you as well, he can kind of, with his binoculars, he can look at the Ramble from his window. Not sure if that's true, because I can't, but, on poetic license. And it's really, he imagines that he would go down there. Now what happens is, like, he has this conversation with this huge guy, and the guy is terrifying. He's as big as a bear, and he's unhinged. And because of the pandemic, Ridley's, honestly, he's alone in the park with this guy. There's nobody around, and he feels threatened. It's really two people alone in the world. One of them's huge and crazy. And he's kind of been watching the Ramble in a way, and that's a leftover, as I said, from when the story's going to go that way. But he's very accepting of the need, and that's one of the places where I kind of dug him, was like, just the need that drives people there in the darkness, to find love in the darkness, to find connection in the darkness, especially during the pandemic like that. Super dangerous. What a life force. He calls it holy need. He calls it holy need. So
go to the darkness to find the light.
Yeah, the light in that darkness is the need. So, yeah, I think we're on the same side there. We're saying you go. Do what you need to do. What page is that? She said, what page is that? But the timing was excellent. Of hers. Not mine.
I said earlier that Ridley doesn't have a significant relationship with his daughter, his grandkids, his ex-wife. He's alone. He's been alone for months in his apartment, as David was describing. But actually, Ridley does have a significant relationship. And I think everyone here can appreciate that. He has a relationship with his phone. And that plays out in a big, big way in the book. Whenever you can talk about it.
Yeah, well, I have a love-hate, I think I just have a hate-hate relationship.
Well, it comes out in the book.
Yeah. Well, the phone for Ridley is the way he's going to be an artist. He's taking these time-lapse photos with the phone. But he's a guy my age, and he gets frustrated with the functions of it, doesn't know how to work it correctly. Those daughters set it up for him and all that stuff. And I mean, I'm very ambivalent about social media and the whole thing, although it's not in the book. There's no social media really in it. I mean, Ridley fantasizes, as I said, about a YouTube channel, which is moronic. But again, I would just say, sitting in my apartment, ingesting the world through a screen, I would counsel us all to just take a moment and think what it means to live our lives with screen versions of each other, primarily. Pandemic made us do that, but we were well on our way to doing that anyway. And now we're kind of coming out of it, and look, whatever happens in life, in history, is going to happen. If the phone is ascendant, it's ascendant, and we're going to have to live with it in that way, and the kids are going to figure out how to live with it and how to be humans. But it's hard for me to make that transition. And that's all I'm kind of dealing with in the book, is just like, what does it do to your brain? What kind of a human brain is it anymore that lives this way, that has this buddy in your pocket all day long? I don't know how to answer. Certainly, it's convenient, I'll say that. I get lost a lot less. Might not be a good thing.
That got me here tonight. So, also, as David described, there is a relationship in the book. He does have another relationship in the book with a mystery woman. And it's a very complex relationship, and he goes through, the character Ridley, goes through an entire and exhaustive courtship with this woman through the course of these 125 pages. Playing games, playing hard to get, hurt and obsessed, enthralled. It goes into a very unexpected place.
Yeah, and she only has one line, and she says it twice.
Right, she says it twice.
Yeah. What does she say?
She says, not yet.
Not yet. I can't. Not yet. Well, that's it. That's my take on life. Right there. What is it? What's your question on that?
No question.
Yeah, she's like, she's a mystery woman. We'll leave it at that. She's a mystery.
Yeah.
Mystery. See, no spoiler there.
Oh, also I wanted to point out that the Death in Venice, there is another nod to Death in Venice, if all of you are familiar with that story, about a man who develops a fixation of beauty and mortality with this young boy. Anyway, you make a nod to the author. You have a conversation with this guy who's as big as a bear. That's a hilarious conversation.
Yeah.
But you call him man.
Yeah.
And that's a nod to Thomas Mann.
Sure. Yeah. Guilty. Also, his name is Ursus. He's a bear.
Ursus,
Yeah,
right, he
Major.
is Ursus.
In my mind, he was the actual constellation Ursus Major. And when Ridley says, you know, how long are you here for? He says, like every night. That's what he means.
That's interesting. I didn't get that. Okay, so Ridley wakes up every morning to a Led Zeppelin song, Kashmir. Do you guys all know the song? Yes. Everyone nods, they all know the song. And I think that would be a terrible song to wake up to.
Oh, it's an awesome song.
No, I mean, when you wake up, when you...
Oh, okay.
Come up.
You definitely want to wake up to the Immigrant song.
Hey, here's the story. I had the lead quote of the book when I was writing it was lyrics from Kashmir. And then I went to go get the rights, and they wanted like $3,000 for them. I was like, I'll get some of the lyrics. So I actually got a quote of Robert Plant talking about Kashmir for free. Wise and frugal.
The character Ridley does leave his apartment, if you haven't gathered that already. And I want to point out that he sheds blood copiously in this story. He has an accident with a credenza. He has an accident in this bramble that we were describing, and he is eaten by seagulls.
Not fully. It's not eaten by seagulls. Yeah. She said I could have my book back. I'm going to be doing a little tour for the next week. Maybe you come along with me. Across the country.
Anyway, I just want to point that out, that be prepared that there's a lot of blood and guts in this. Anyway, I'll go back to the hilarious conversation with this character, the man, Ursus, as you call him. He tells a very funny joke. Is that a joke that you made up?
No, I wish I'd made that
It's
joke.
an old joke.
An old joke.
Yeah, it's a really good joke. I always get nervous when I read jokes in books because I'm afraid that people are gonna read them and then you'll never be able to tell the joke. But anyway, this joke is about a man and a bear.
It's about you want me to tell a joke?
You gotta tell the joke.
You want me to tell a joke? Can I tell something about human jokes?
Sure. You're not gonna do this.
No. Why don't you tell them what you tried to do once as like a social experiment? Did you make up a joke and tell it?
All right, and see how.
This is Chris Carter. This is his mind. Tell them what you did.
No, you tell them.
I don't know it.
I wanted to see if I made up a joke. It had to be a good joke. How long it would take to get back to me.
This is before internet. So this is like just gossip world around the world coming back. But you told it cross country, didn't you?
Cross country.
And then you flew back, trying to beat the joke back.
It wasn't that good a joke.
So the joke in this is a guy goes into the woods hunting for bear. He's got a rifle. Tap on his shoulder, turns around, it's a bear. Shit. Bear says, well, takes his rifle, says, I can either kill you or fuck you. Good choice. Guy goes, well, fuck you. Bear fucks him. Takes his rifle back, guy goes back home, goes back hunting for bear again. His rifle, looking for the bear, tap on his shoulder. Bear takes his rifle, says, I can either kill you or fuck you.